Hey there, fourth graders, Mrs. Long here, and I am coming to give you an introduction into multiplication. So in this video, I'm going to be going over some multiplication vocabulary. I'm going to go over some multiplication keywords, and then I'm going to also be talking about using estimation when it comes to multiplication. So that's what you can expect in this video. And again, as always, let us know if you have any questions. Also, please be sure to check out the other videos that we've been linking into the fourth grade toolkit math videos. There are quite a few different resources there, lots of different teachers teaching these different strategies so that you can find an explanation that is something that's easy for you to understand when it comes to multiplication and the different strategies of multiplication. One thing I do want to point out as you're learning different strategies for multiplication, the purpose of learning different strategies is so you can find what works for you. All right, so as you're learning these different strategies, I don't want you to stress out like, oh my goodness, there's this strategy and this strategy and this strategy. It is just information for you to use so that you can figure out which one works best for you and which one you understand the best. And I have seen and taught students who like the area model the best. I have seen and taught students who prefer partial product, and I've seen and taught students who prefer the standard algorithm of multiplication or the old school method. Okay, it's really you figuring out what works best for you when it comes to solving these problems. But the first thing is first, we need to figure out what multiplication even is. Multiplication is when you're combining equal sized groups together to find a total. All right, so let me give you an example. If I go to the store and I buy 6 packages of cookies and each package has 9 cookies in it, I want to know how many cookies I have total, right? An example for if I'm buying cookies for one of my kids' birthday parties, I want to make sure I have enough cookies for all their friends. All right, so I need to know exactly how many cookies I have total. So I would do 6 times 9 to figure that out. All right, now, when it comes to multiplying, you have to remember that it is related to addition. Another way I could figure out the answer to that is add 6 9 times. 6 plus 6 plus 6, 9 times, okay? But multiplying is much faster, especially when you're dealing with really big numbers or lots of groups of numbers. When I add 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 9 times, I might make a mistake, right? That's a lot of numbers to add together. And we're going to be dealing with bigger and bigger numbers. You could be doing up to 99 times 99 this year. Well, you're not going to add 99 times together to figure out what the answer is. Multiplication is a much faster strategy, all right? But the thing to remember is multiplication and addition are related. They do have things in common. You are finding a total either way. The difference is multiplication, you're finding a total of equal sized groups. So if you take a whole bunch of your, candy and you put it into equal sized groups, and then you want to combine it together to see how much candy you have total, as long as those groups are equal sized, you could multiply them. But if one group has 15 pieces of candy and one group has 12 pieces of candy and one group has 8 pieces of candy, you can't multiply that because those aren't equal. All right, so let's go into the vocabulary now. There's 3 words that I really want you to know what they mean. The first word, I'm gonna write the words up on the board so that you can see them. The first word is the word product. Okay, the product is the answer to the multiplication problem. So if I do 2 times 3 equals 6, 6 is the product. Now the product is only the answer in multiplication. It is not the answer to any other type of operation. If you're adding, that's the sum. If you're subtracting, that's the difference. If you're dividing, that's the quotient. The product is only the answer to multiplication. Okay, so that's a key. Because if you see a problem that says, what is the product? It's not going to tell you have to multiply, but you need to know, oh, that's the answer to multiplication, so I have to multiply to find the answer, okay? The next word is factors. The factors are the numbers that you multiply together to get the product. So back to my example, 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 and 3 are the factors because that's what I multiplied together to get the product, 6. So let's look at that problem again, and I'm just for my visual learners. Those 2 numbers are the factors, and that one is the product. okay? The third word that I want you to know, here, let me angle this so you can see it better. There we go. The third word that I want you to know is multiples. All right, and the multiples are the numbers that you say when you're skip counting. So if I want to list the multiples of 3, I'm going to skip count by 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so forth, okay? So that would be an example of multiples. Anytime you're skip counting by any number, multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on, okay? Multiples are the numbers you say when you're skip counting. The other important thing to know with multiplication and vocabulary words are key words that you'll see in word problems that are going to signal you need to multiply. Okay, so those key words, the big ones are each and every. If you see each or every in a word problem, you probably are going to be doing multiplication. You might be doing division as well, but at this point in time, you're probably doing multiplication. All right, why? Because each and every means you're talking about equal sized groups. And with multiplication and division, you're dealing with equal sized groups. So when you see each or you see every, then your brain needs to think, ooh, this is probably a multiplication problem, especially if you also see words that you see in addition problems like finding the total or in all right? Because that means that you're combining together those equal size groups, or that word combining that I keep using, you see that in word problems too. It says there's so many groups of something, each group has this and you're combining them together, well, that is exactly what multiplication is. So that signals I need to multiply. All right. And when it comes to word problems, and we'll go into this more in a later video, but when it comes to word problems, trying to visualize what is actually happening in the word problem really can help you figure out what type of operation you need to use to solve the problem. All right. But just in general, for our purposes for this unit, if you're seeing the words each or every, that's going to probably signal multiplication. All right, now let's talk about estimating when it comes to multiplication. Estimating means that we are trying to figure out about how much of something we have. Okay, we're not trying to find the exact amount just yet. We're finding about how much. One key with estimation is that you have to round before you solve, not after. If you've found the actual product, there's not really a point of estimating because you actually have the answer. All right, but there are times in real life when you don't have to have the exact amount. You have to have an estimate of about how much. For example, if I'm trying to figure out how much money I need for groceries, I figure out about how much money I spend each week and I multiply that by 4 because there's 4 weeks in a month. And that tells me what my grocery budget should be each week. Or each month rather. Okay, so that would be an example of using that estimation in a real life situation. But again, using that estimation, the key is remembering that we're rounding before we multiply. And I want to show you something just really quickly that will be really helpful when it comes to estimation and multiplication. So let's say I have 47 times 32. And I want to estimate. Well, I'm going to round both of these numbers. And I always recommend rounding to the highest place value, okay? Because while maybe that won't give you the most accurate estimate, it does give you the easiest answer. And sometimes we can use estimation as a quick way to solve and then find our actual answer and then use our estimation to check our answer and to see if our answer is reasonable. Because when it comes to multiplication and division, there's lots of steps. Right? No matter what strategy you're using, there's multiple steps and it's easy to forget a step. And so if we've found a quick estimate first, we can then see, okay, is our answer close to our estimate? And if it's not, then maybe we missed a step and we need to go back through and double check that. All right. So let's look at this. I would round 47 to 50 and I would round 32 to 30. Now, when I'm multiplying, I can do what's called front-end multiplication, where I'm only multiplying the front two numbers and I can ignore all those zeros. I can only do this when numbers are ending with zeros, by the way. Okay, both of these numbers end in zeros, or at least one. If there's a one-digit number and one of the numbers ends in zeros, you can do this strategy. It's called front-end multiplication. All right, so I do 5 times 3, which equals 15. Now I have to remember my zeros that I ignored at first. I have a 0 there, and I have a 0 there. So there's 2 zeros, which means I add 2 zeros to the end. So my estimate is 1,500 or 1,500, okay? That would be my estimate for 47 times 32. And then I could go ahead and solve it, and then I can see, is my answer close to my estimate? Is my answer reasonable? All right, so that's how we can use estimation and multiplication, some multiplication vocabulary, and what multiplication is. But remember, the key with multiplication is knowing those multiplication facts. If I'm sitting here staring at this problem forever because I can't figure out how to multiply 7 times 3, I've got a problem. All right, so we have to have multiplication fluency. That means you know your facts quickly and correctly. So if you don't know those yet, practice them. Look in the 4th grade toolkit under the math videos. There is a whole page full of videos that has songs on them where you can learn to memorize your multiples. So for example, one of the songs it puts it to a beat, right? So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Okay, so I just skip counted by 3. Now I can use that to multiply. If I want to do 3 times 8, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. 3 times 8 is 24. I was able to find the answer quickly and correctly. Even though I may not have 3 times 8 memorized, I had a strategy where I could find the answer quickly and correctly because I had that song in the multiples of 3 memorized. Okay, so check that out. There's one for every single multiplication fact from your 2s all the way up through your 12s. There's a song for each one. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and reach out to your math teacher if you have any questions.